In today's video, we posted questions to Katie Ann's Instagram, and now we're going to answer them.
Hi everyone.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul from ProPhysique.com, and today I have a special guest, my wonderful friend Katie Ann, or Katie Ann Rutherford.
Yeah, Katie Rutherford, Katie Ann.
Katie Ann 100
yes.
is your Instagram.
Yes.
She has a
Katie
fantastic Instagram page, so you should be following it. But I'd like, for those that aren't familiar with Katie, for you to just kind of discuss what it is you do and who you are.
So, as he said, I go by Katie Ann, so Katie Ann 100 on Instagram, and then I also have a YouTube channel. So I am a coach. I am a powerlifting coach, a bodybuilding coach, contest prep coach. I also am a competitor myself. So I compete in powerlifting, which I just competed this past weekend in USAPL Raw Nationals. And then I also have competed in figure. So I am an IFPA figure pro, natural figure pro, and that's kind of a little summary.
She also qualified and competed at the national level in the NPC.
In NPC,
yeah.
Yes.
And you placed top 5 at national?
Sixth.
Sixth.
Yeah.
So not too shabby.
Yeah, yeah.
So for all you out there that think you need to do drugs to have success?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Not even in NPC. So yeah, I would consider myself definitely a crossover athlete, but my background was first in bodybuilding, and then I transitioned into powerlifting, which has been my main focus for the past year and a half or so.
Yeah.
So
it's been exciting to watch Katie. She started attending some of the camps at first as an attendee.
Yes.
And now she comes to the camp, and she's coming to the Pro Physique camp.
Yeah, we match.
She's coming to my camp this year as a coach, because so many of my clients are inspired by what you do, and it's very exciting. They're gonna get to hang around you, and I'm inspired as well. But it's been awesome to see Katie's progression from a pretty good powerlifter to top 5 nationally.
Yeah, placed 5th this past weekend at nationals. So
that's no small accomplishment. The largest powerlifting group, I'm sure, in the world.
Yeah. Actually, probably in the world.
Yeah,
Nationals.
1,300, 1,100, some crazy number of competitors.
They
limited it more this year.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah.
So what we did today was we went on Katie's Instagram page and we took a funny picture and we said, does anybody have questions and answers? We're going to shoot a video. Yeah. And so what we're going to actually do today is shoot 2 videos. So we're going to address a couple questions, and then we're going to post the video to my channel. And then Katie has a YouTube channel as well, so we're going to probably take one specific question and address it. And I think we already know what that's going to be. So go to Katie Ann's, I'll link it below. Go to Katie Ann's YouTube channel, subscribe, so you get to watch 2 videos with us wearing matching shirts. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the question.
How frequently should you test your 1RM, your 1 rep max, so your max lift, whether at a meet or just training? So I'm assuming they're talking about 1RMs for a squat, bench, deadlift.
Sure.
So it really depends on the level that you're at. So if you, or what your goals are. So really as a lot of these questions that we're going to answer, it really depends on each individual person.
It's hard to give black and white, like this is what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Right.
So we're going to give you what we think is best practice based on what we've experienced.
Right. So I would say if you are looking to get into powerlifting and you're a beginner or looking to get on a powerlifting program, I would recommend testing your 1RMs before you start on a powerlifting program, or just to get a basic understanding of what your max is, how strong you are. So that way, if you do a certain powerlifting program and it's based on percentages of your 1RM, then you have a better idea of where your max strength is. And then also too, after you follow a program, you can test it again and see how much strength you've gained in that amount of time. I'd say for the beginner, it's important to have that kind of understanding. The more advanced you get, the less frequently you want to be testing those 1RMs, because for myself, I compete typically twice a year for powerlifting, or this past year, that's how often I've competed. And so I test my 1RMs at meet time. I'm not testing my 1RMs all the time in the off season, because it really doesn't make sense, because I go through different cycles where I'm either in a volume block or an intensity block. So obviously in the more off season, when I'm building up for competition for a powerlifting meet that's later on in the year, I'm going to be doing volume work. I'm not going to be testing my 1RM then. But as it gets closer to competition, I'm going to be doing conservative maxing. And just kind of getting an understanding of where my strength is, but I'm not going to be testing my 1RMs as much as maybe 2 years ago when I had no idea what my 1RMs were.
Yeah.
So.
I think one thing to consider is 1 rep max, single, like no left in the tank. That is such a specific skill that it doesn't really translate that well early on in your lifting career with how many reps you can do. So a lot of people will go, I can do 225 for 10 reps. That equates to I can do 340 pounds.
Yeah, so they put it in a little calculator, and
that is not going to be true for powerlifting, because the neurological adaptations that need to occur for you to lift at that weight, the CNS, if you've ever actually gotten under a weight that's much heavier than you've ever lifted before, you freak out. Your body responds often very poorly, and there's often a feeling of when you go for the lift and it doesn't move as fast as you want it to, that you need to abandon ship. The difference with Katie and even myself and those of us who have done a powerlifting meet and done training specifically for it is you learn how to grind, how to deal with that fear, and how to get through that lift.
It's a process. And 2, I would say, if you are looking to compete in a powerlifting meet, you want to get really good at those heavier loads and not stick with just volume work all the time and be like, oh, well, I repped out, as you said, like 225 for 10. Oh, then my attempt selection should be based on that. You really have to work up in intensity, as I mentioned before, an intensity block. I think the focus should be less on how often should I test my 1RMs to what should my training cycle look like, and base your training around what are your goals. So I think it's important to have a general understanding, but then you should, like from the beginning, if you're starting out, but then you should take that number, let's say whatever it is, and okay, looking forward, like what do I want my training to look like? Am I going to start in a volume block and then work up in intensity and get in those lower rep ranges, so then that will equate to a higher 1RM and get better at that skill.
And if all the stuff we're talking about, be it the training cycles, macro cycles, micro cycles, intense phases, volume phases, if all that sounds crazy to you, then this is when you can start looking at either going on the internet, looking up information, or working with a coach who's got a background in powerlifting, and really expand your knowledge base. So hopefully that answered your question. Again, it wasn't too specific. We can't tell you every 6 weeks. But early on, test with a little more frequency, and then as you plan to start doing meets,
your training will be more specific, and it'll help you essentially peak for your meet or for whatever training cycle you might be in.
All right, good.
All right. Any advice for someone that has sights setting on competing at the national level in powerlifting?
Great question. Go ahead.
I would say get familiar with meets. Go to a meet. If you've never done a meet before, I would go and watch a meet. See, is this an environment that I like? You might have an idea in your head about, I say the same for like bodybuilding shows. Go and watch and see what it's like. You might have this idea of what it's like in your head, but it might be completely different when you go. And I'd go to a couple different meets too, because it really can depend on what federation. Personally, I compete in USAPL, which is a drug tested federation, which is the one that I would recommend competing in. It's, I would say, probably the most prestigious organization.
It's definitely the most prestigious drug-free organization
drug-free
in the United States. Most of the IPF affiliates are growing rather quickly.
So I'd recommend checking one of those out. There's also some really good local, not necessarily USAPL meets. Just do a meet, have fun. Don't put pressure on yourself to be like, I need to be at a certain level in order to do a meet. My first meet I did a week after my first figure show, so I wasn't.
And a week before your next figure show.
So I wasn't putting pressure on myself to be like, oh, I need to be the best powerlifter. Just get your feet wet. See, do you enjoy it? And from there, look at, you know, what are the qualifications for competing at the national level, but I would get more experience with, you know, competing in a smaller event. Just have fun. Like, it doesn't matter what federation it is, just do a meet, and then from there kind of determine, do I want to do, you know, the drug-free, you know, USAPL tested federation, do I want, you know, kind of go from there. First establish a baseline and see kind of like, do you actually enjoy it, and is it something you want to do, and then get as much as experience as you can, but don't be like, oh, I want to do 6 meets this year. Like, don't go crazy.
Right.
Kind of find something in between, and just experience it and see how you like it, and then make your goals from there and see what the qualifications are for nationals, and then have that as your goal. And I wouldn't recommend for every beginner powerlifter either to say, oh, I want to do nationals this year. You know, take some time and improve, and then, you know, improve upon your list. Don't jump into too many meets too fast, but just, I'd say, experience it first, and then kind of see.
I think the nice thing about powerlifting is that if you're going to do a powerlifting meet, you're going to, no matter what you do, you're going to set PRs on all your lists.
Yeah.
So once you've done that, now you have a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
You can set the goal, whatever it is. Now, if you go into your first meet and you compete at a high level, like there was a guy in prime time who was only his second powerlifting meet this year.
Dexter?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep,
So
I know Dexter.
that guy is, you know, rare. But
genetically just amazing, and he's one of the hardest workers, but obviously, yeah, that's super rare.
Yeah.
But he's going to continue to improve so much. You know, for his level, like at his first meet, he got best lifter. So then for him, it's going to be like, oh yeah, the next goal will be nationals. But if you do your first meet and, you know, then you just want to improve, and, you know, national stages or national powerlifting is very overwhelming. Yeah. And so it's good to get that experience first, and then.
And USAPL, if you're interested in actually doing a powerlifting meet with the USAPL and qualifying for nationals, you can go on their website, look up the qualifying totals.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer you just have to complete a meet. You actually have to be in the top 15%, I believe, of your weight class for nationals.
Maybe. They're getting stricter every
and
year
because
it's really growing.
And so just you have to be aware. If you want to set your sights on nationals, know what the numbers are, get into a meet, and just start chipping away at those numbers.
Do a local meet first. I would just look at usapl.com if you're, or USA Powerlifting, I think it is.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to do USAPL, and there's a lot of really good local meets.
And there's more every year. So keep an eye on that.
All right, next question. Why do you have bigger biceps than Paul?
What? Is that pork chop?
I don't think I do.
It's an angle. See, I'm back here. Now who has bigger biceps? Huh?
I think I give you a run for your money, though. Okay, mine aren't that big. It was just the lighting.
Neither are mine.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is the best way to cut during a long-term bulk?
Yeah.
You wouldn't cut during a long-term bulk because it's a bulk. So
yeah, I'm not really sure.
The best way to cut, scientifically speaking, we'll go high level on that. If you want to diet for performance, is to make sure you're losing about 1% of your body weight per week or less. Now, if you're obese, it can be a little bit faster, 1.5, 2%.
Yeah.
The lighter you get and leaner you get, under 0.5% per week.
Honestly, so I was doing a little bit of a cut going into nationals just so I could be comfortably under my weight class and then be able to eat into the meet. And my weight, it was maybe a 0.5 pound per week average that I was dropping, which was perfect. Like, I did not want to drop any faster than that, because especially if you're going into a meet, if powerlifting is your goal, then you want to be able to maintain or continue to gain strength. And if you have a fast weight loss trend, it'll affect your
and weird things happen when you lose weight fast, like leverages change.
Yes.
So your training maxes will be adjusted per week, your energy levels. So the slower you lose, the better. And if losing slow sounds difficult, well, it is. You have to know how to track your macros. Yeah, you have to be familiar with diet. It's not just eating loosely and hoping for the best.
Right. What's your favorite pre-lift meal?
My favorite pre-lift meal would be like rice and some ground beef, because it digests very easily. Mine
is cream of wheat and some like protein powder, like berries, rice cakes. Easy to digest, not high fiber. I found like oatmeal, is a little too high fiber. So cream of wheat is my go-to recently.
So
and
part
rice
B,
cakes.
do you use anything intra-workout, or do you bring food with you to the gym?
It depends on the workout. So if I have a really long workout, then I will bring usually a protein shake and some sort of quick digesting carb. So sometimes I have like Starburst, sometimes it's a Pop-Tart, rice cakes. It really depends. It depends what my macros are for the day too.
I always have some kind of a candy in my bag.
Yeah,
I find that, you know, if a workout's taking 2 hours, I need some quick sugars.
Yeah.
I'll even get hypoglycemic during the crazy
Right,
workouts.
me too.
The leaner I am, the more frequent
And
that
branched chain amino acids also too,
Yep.
intra workout. So, and then sometimes, well, it depends on.
Well, we can do a shameless plug for one of my sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Core ABC, the best. There we go. I want you to hide your
I
face.
actually took, wait, is that what I took today?
Yeah, you took the watermelon.
Yeah,
You
it's
had the
really
watermelon.
good. I like it. I might be converting from my other brand. Would you attribute your muscle growth more to training or genetics? And they gave the example of my legs or leg, whatever.
So they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
So I'll let you give your thoughts and then I'll give my thoughts.
So definitely to training. However, each person is going to be different in how they respond.
That reminds me.
We got...
We're going to go scientific. I think I pulled this book out yesterday. Look, Essentials of Exercise Physiology.
So I would say definitely training, number one. But each person, as he's going to read, is going to respond to training differently. So for me, I put on mass very easily in my legs, but it's definitely, they wouldn't grow unless I was training extremely heavy. So
training properly.
Yeah, and training properly.
So it's a principle, one of the principles of exercise physiology called the individual differences principle, insisting that all performers on a team or even those in the same event train the same way at the same relative or absolute exercise intensity does not optimize training because it does not recognize individual differences.
Right.
Rather, training programs must meet individual needs and capacities.
Right.
This is where coaching comes into play.
So cookie cutter plans that are the same for everyone that you find, you know, that coaches may hand out or that you find on the internet, not necessarily going to be good or good.
Shocking. That's shocking.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Not everyone should follow the same thing. So I was squatting 4 times a week. I would not recommend that.
But she was not squatting 4 times a week on day 1.
Right. I was squatting once a week.
Once a week.
And
That's
then
where most
slowly
of us start.
worked up.
You want to progress on the least amount of volume necessary and go from there.
Right.
And based on your training history, your adaptability, you know, Katie was squatting 4 times a week, and did you get 396?
Yeah.
Missed the 407?
Yeah, I missed my 407.
So I don't know if that's a lot of freaking weight.
That is a lot
but
of weight.
that's what it takes when you get to her level to make progress. You know, you hear some of the crazy Russians that squat 7 days a week.
Right. I will never be at that level.
Yeah, there's
But yeah, it really depends for each person. So for me, I have to hammer my upper body for training for it to grow. My legs, I mean, I squat a lot, but I don't do any really much leg exercise.
It's actually another principle in here. I'm not going to be super nerd and talk about it too much, but there's very little difference between the absolute strength between men and women in the lower body. It's the upper body where men have the greatest difference. But that you're a great example.
Yeah, that's true.
You squat probably absolute strength more than just about anybody I know, except for powerlifters at the national level.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I know a lot of guys at the gym are like, oh, you're almost stronger than me. I'm like, yeah, but you bench like 5 times what I do. So it all balances out. All right, next question. So the question is, what is a brief breakdown of a taper peak for novices for their first meet?
So let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Who did your programming for your first meet, or did you just do one?
Lane did my,
So see, you got lucky.
Yeah, see, I've been lucky. I've had a coach for my first meet, my first show. I had, you know.
Well, I don't mean it's lucky. It's just smart.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bad advice out there.
Right.
I'm just gonna say the bad advice.
Yes, bad advice.
Lift on Monday before the meet. Don't go in the gym again until Saturday.
Yeah, bad advice.
No.
So you want to, essentially peaking for a meet, you want to be reducing volume but keeping intensity not high, maximal high, but relatively high. So when you peak for a meet, you're going to be in a intensity block as you lead up to a meet. Well, you should if you're, you know, following proper programming.
Specificity. The rule of specificity states you should do what you're going to do. So getting closer to meet, when we talk about intensity increasing, intensity in the powerlifting world means percentage of 1 rep max.
So what I typically do I guess I'll give an example of what I do for my clients. Like going into a meet. So I would say about 6 days out or 7 days out, you want to hit your openers. So this should be something that you could easily triple in the gym. So for me, my squat opener was 374. And I've hit that, I've tripled that many times in the gym. So it's something you want to be 100% confident that you can do. So typically I would recommend doing, you know, it really depends on your volume too. So this question is really individual as well. So as you'll notice, most of these questions, it really
roughly, I would say 50 to 60% of the training volume.
Yes. Yeah.
And as the meet approaches, you want to be tapering.
Yeah, you want to be tapering.
But you don't want to lose the neural adaptation of the heavy weight on your back.
Right. So that's why I typically do around your opener for singles about, so I did it on, it was Monday, and then I competed Saturday. So about a week out. And then I'd say 3 days out, I would do about 80% for triples. And so deadlift is going to be the most taxing lift. So I would say cut that out about 5 days, 5 or 6 days pre-meet. So I'd do singles and then not do deadlift. And you also, leading up into the meet, so you also want to be tapering off accessory work. So you don't want to be hammering your, like if you're a crossover athlete like myself, I still do bodybuilding work all the time. But I tapered that off significantly going into the meet just so I could recover, so inflammation could go down. So you want to make sure you taper that off. I did a 2-week taper, so I cut it by about 50% 2 weeks out, and then cut it by, I'd say, about another 50% the week before, nationals. And then I took 2 days off before nationals. But you don't need to take a whole week off. Yeah.
You can actually detrain yourself in 5 or 6 days time, especially when it comes to 1 rep max.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So the last thing you want to do on meet day is get under the weight and it feel foreign.
Right.
Squatting, deadlifting, benching, these are skills you can lose quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much about timing too on squat, bench, deadlift. It's not just your strength, it's making sure you're keeping that timing down and that skill, and keeping it refined and not taking an extended period of time off before your meet.
Yeah, so I think rough guidelines: reduce volume by roughly 50%, you know, reduce accessory work to minimal.
Yeah.
At 2 days out, don't train. Prior to that, do some squat, bench, and deadlifts. And
light triples about.
You'll feel fresh on the day of the meet.
Right.
You'll perform.
Yeah.
And you know, you can go from there based on how you feel.
Yes.
So I think that's it for this video. But don't forget to look below. I'm going to link Katie's channel. We're going to do another video right now.
Yeah.
We're going to pick a specific topic that she wanted to cover for her video.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
She's going to be at my house till, what, Sunday? Or when are you leaving?
Monday, I think is my
Monday.
flight.
So we're going to do some fun stuff with the camp. I have a videographer for my my first ever team camp. But beyond that, we'll probably do some more stuff either on Sunday or whenever it is.
Yeah, well,
and I think if you guys have comments or questions or things specifically you'd like to see, maybe we could even do some form videos.
That'd be cool.
Discuss like setup, squat, bench, deadlift, whatever it is, because I mean that's kind of what you're known for. Or if you have some other questions, like how does she do so many awesome pull-ups? Like maybe. Anyway, guys, this is Paul from ProPhysique.com with Katie Ann, and have an awesome Wednesday.
Yes.